Question document examination for legal practitioners, Module 2. My name is Emmanuel Lomu. I'll be taking you through this course. There are about 6 principles that we'll be considering in this course. There are about 6 of them. The first one is the principle of individuality of handwriting. Individuality of handwriting. It says that no two individuals write exactly alike. Also, that handwriting developed through combination of learning skill and personal habits. Even identical twins will have distinguishable handwriting features. For example, we may have 2 people, even identical twins, that were born by the same father, raised up by the same parent, and they were taught by the same teacher, yet they will still have different handwriting. So that means each of them can be identified by their handwriting. So that is number 1. Individuality of handwriting. Individuality of handwriting. The second principle is principle of natural variation. Natural variation. It says that a person's handwriting is not exactly the same every time. Apart from that one, if you send 10 times, there's bound to be some little seemly differences. And those differences are not actual differences, but they are just variations. Now we call them natural variations of the same handwriting. So examiners must distinguish between natural variation and intentional disguise. Another principle is that of habit formation. Habit formation. Writing habits become subconscious over time, and these habits are difficult to completely alter, even in attempted forgery. Another principle of handwriting examination is that of combination of characters. Combination of characters. Identification is based on combination of features, not a single trait. This is what I mean. When we are analyzing any handwriting, you don't just use only one trait. For example, the method of construction alone cannot be used to confirm or to eliminate a suspected writer. We have to combine some other features like method of construction, like the spatial relationship, and many other things. Then another, let's move on. Let's move on to class characteristics and individual characteristics. Class characteristics and individual characteristics. In handwritten examination, we classify characteristics into 2. Just like any other field of forensic science, we have class characteristics and individual characteristics. Here in class characteristics, these are those writing features common to a group, that is, the common pattern of handwriting or letters and their shape, which are limited to a group, age, or language. So, class characteristics can be used. Therefore, class characteristics can be used to narrow down the search, but cannot use to identify anybody. The only one that can use to identify anybody is the second one, which we call individual characteristics. So the individual characteristics occurs when a letter departs from its usual copy form. When we were still in primary school, all of us were taught to write the same way. We were given a copy book that we call the book 2D. I think 2D in Nigeria here. So we are taught to write the same way. To start our initial letter from using capital, then that capital we are taught to write it the same way. Then in fact, it was the the book was ruled in such a way, the copybook was ruled in a way that the length and the size of all our letters were the same. We write everything the same way because we are taught to write the same way. But immediately after we might have mastered the art of writing, then we now begin to deviate from the default. So the level of deviation that an individual will have is what we make his handwriting to be different from others. So the element of writing constitute the basis of all handwriting identifications. For example, if you look at the screen, you see we have like 4Ds. All these 4Ds, they were written by 4 different people. Look at the 4D. The 4D look a bit the same, almost similar to how we were taught to write when we were in primary school. Then look at the second one. The second one resemble, in fact, this is how we were taught to write. And the third one is a total departure from how we were taught to write. And the fourth one just a bit different. But if you look at how they construct it, you know that their construction is not the same. If you look at the screen, you see 4 different Ds written by 4 different people. And if you look at them very well, you can see that the first D by the left hand look a bit similar to how we were taught to write when we were in primary school. The second one look like it very well. Then the third one is a total departure from how how we were taught to write. It's a total departure from the default. And the fourth one is also similar to how we were taught to write our D. But if you look at them very well, the mode of the construction are never the same. So I will come back to that one later so that I won't waste time on it. So we have class characteristics and individual characteristics, and I said that class characteristics can only be used to narrow down our search, cannot be used to identify a person. It cannot be used to identify the writer or the author. But we can only use individual characteristics, or at times we combine class characteristics with the individual. But individual characteristics is what is used to confirm that this document is from this source. That is, it can be used for identification or elimination. So let's move ahead. Then next we have key features analyzed in handwriting. What are the key features analyzed in handwriting? The first one is a letter formation. Letter formation or letter design. Letter formation or letter design. Every writer has a unique way of forming his or her own letters. Every author or every writer has a unique way of forming his own letter. Just as I said, when we were in primary school or nursery school, we were taught to write the same way, give the same space, construct our letter the same way. For example, this D that we are looking on the screen, we start our D from the right hand side, then take our pencil or our written material to the right, curve it down. That is, write something like C. Look at this, the one at the second D. Exactly, this is how we are taught to write. We put C for C first, then we put something like a small l or I in front of it, join it together, making our D. That is exactly how we were taught to write when we were still in primary or nursery school. But later, some of us deviated into writing our D like the first one. The first one now is using only one stroke. See, it still follow the same process, but only one stroke. That is from the right to from the right to the left, curve down. The thing move up and then came down with the same stroke. Whereas in the original one we were taught when we were in primary school, we used two stroke. Then later some of us deviated in using just only one stroke, but the D will not have anything like a L, like small L or I. The third one, look at the third one. It started from the left and from the right, move to the left, down, up, then up to the left with only one stroke, but it's a total departure. So now we have the same way with other letters, and these are unique to an individual because by the time they do it several times, it becomes part and parcel of them. It becomes an habit that they can't change again. The way they write now move to their subconsciousness, that even when they don't need to think on it before they write the way they write. That is why we have different handwriting. That is why our writing can never be the same, because what we write is from our brain. The way our brain has configured it over a period of time has become part and parcel of us, and therefore our handwriting can be used to identify us. So that is number one. Number two, line quality is another feature that we analyze in handwriting. Line quality. When we say line quality, we mean how smooth that the stroke or the line of the letter is. How smooth is or how smooth and how thick. So these are the things we look at and we say the line quality is okay. When the line is smooth and it's not too thick, then we say the line quality is okay. But when the line is too thick and at the same time the line has what we call tremor, that is it has shaking line. It's as if the hand of the writer was shaking while he was written in. We say that one has a poor quality. And if you look at the screen, I wrote KK. This KK, the first one that is tagged genuine, has good quality. The line is of good quality, whereas the other one is of bad quality or poor quality, because if you expand the screen, you can see that one has tremor, and the two lines that we use to form the two lines that used to form the K, or the two strokes that used to form the K, both of these for the fourth one is almost the same in thickness and is full of tremor, so is of poor quality. But the other one is smooth, and also the thickness is not the same or true. The next feature, the third feature is slant. We call it slant. And what is slant? Slant is the direction in which the letters lay. A good feature is one of the features that we examine to identify the writer. That way is also unique to us. For example, if you look at your handwriting, you see that everything you write will lay to the same side. everything that you write will lean to the same side. If it is right, you see all other things that will be written before will be to the right or to the left. Then the same way with spacing. So that is one of the key features analyzing handwriting. Spacing is the space that you give between two letters or between two words or between two lines. And also it can also is also the space that you give in your margins, maybe right margin, left margin, bottom or down margin in some papers that are not lined. Now, when we are in primary school, we were taught to write the same way, to give the same space. In fact, our copybook then help us to start our letters, our writings in the same place. To start in the same place, to give the same margin, the same space between two letters, between two words, and between two lines. And this one, after a period of time, even if you are not given paper that is lined, we can still write to master, to give those spaces between whatever we have written. But it will get to a stage after we have mastered the art of writing, we begin to deviate from the default that we were taught. And the level of deviation in space given will determine how much of space, or the space that will be given, the spacing that you have in our writing, in our writings. So, and this feature is unique to an individual writer. That feature is size and proportion. Size and proportion. Look at your screen. Now, a word is written there. Bayo is written. If you look at the size of B, A, Y, O, if you ask another person to write the same word, the size of his letters will not be the same as the one written by another person. So this size is unique to an individual writer. In fact, if you give them different paper or different sizes and ask them to write the same word on those paper, as long as those paper are big enough to contain the word bio, the size will be the same in all of them. It is when it is on, maybe on occasion, when the paper is when the space on this paper is too small to contain the whole word, that they cannot try to manage it to contain that page, that the size will be reduced. But at the same time, the proportion of each letter in the word will still remain. The proportion will still remain. For example, this O on your screen will still remain, the proportion to Y or A or B will still remain the same. Let's move further. There's another pressure, very, very important, is pen pressure. The pen pressure is the amount of pressure that you exert on the pen and the paper while you are writing. So that's when we form the thickness. We give you the thickness of the stroke or the lines. If the pressure is so light, the line will be light, that is, will be very thin. If the pressure is high, then the stroke or the line will be thick. And And when you are written fastly, your pen will exert, your hand will exert less pressure on the paper through the pen. You exert less pressure, and because you are exerting less pressure, the ink that your pen or written material be dropping will not be as much as that of another hand or another writer that is written slowly. So when you are writing slowly, the pressure you exert will be higher. So your pen drops, your pen will drop more ink. And for the fact that when your pressure is high, you write slowly, you have more ink on the paper. So your paper, your the lines will be thicker when you are slow, or when the pressure is high. When the pressure is high, it will be thicker. And one thing is that the lighter the pressure, the fluency the lines, that is, the lines will be smoother, because the pressure is light, and at the same time it will also affect the speed. Now look at this. Look at the screen. We look at your extreme right. You see two words, bio and bio. The same. If you look at the two of them, both of them are words similar, but one is start genuine while the other one is start forged. Because they are not expanded, they are not you can see them, this is how they will look like on any paper. So both of them will look alike, but by the time you expand them, this is how you see them under magnifying lens. As seen under magnifying lens, this is how you see when they are larger. It is when they are larger now that you see the difference between the two. For example, the genuine one, the lines are smooth, and you can see the pressure are not the same. The pressure are not the same. Look at the B here. The first line of B here in the genuine one is thicker when that thing was coming down, when the stroke was coming down. But when the stroke was going up, it was lighter. So you have on different part of these words, words, bio, you have varied pressure. You have varied pressure. But on the other one, because this one was copied, it's a copied writing. It's a copywriting, just like an artistic work. They both of it will resemble this one. In fact, you can see the resemblance. But the problem, the indicators for us to know that this is probably forged, is that you see the sign of slow writing. When you are copying from one document to another document, what you are doing that time is it's like artistic work. So you are bound to write slowly, because it's not from your brain, it's from the other document. The document is coming, the writing is coming from another document. It's not from your brain. So you have to look at it, and whatever you are seeing with your eyes will go to your brain before your brain now will now tell your hand how to put it down. So that is not directly from your brain, but from a paper. So you are copying. That's what will make you to slow down. But in a situation where you are writing genuinely, when you are a genuine writer, when you are writing from your own brain, when you are the one writing that thing, or maybe you are signing, it will flow. You want to write, for example, you want to write your name now, you don't need to be thinking or to be looking at a paper or at another document before you copy your own name. Your name has become part and parcel of you for years. So you can write it. It will be it will go, the fluency will be so much that anybody who sees it can know that any document, any question document examiner will look at it and say no, this one is written by a genuine writer. But the other one, because that one was written slowly, a result as a result of copied work, it means we are going to see sign of slow written there. That is a tremor. You see, look at it, the line is not smooth. So you see, that is a tremor. That is what we call tremor, as if the hand of the writer was shaking. So because the pressure was too high and the person was copying, so the pressure now is one of the feature that you use. If the pressure is the same all through, like we have it in this second one, then you can know that this, you can say this one is forged. The only time when the pressure can be high like this is when some conditions, some abnormal conditions set into the life of the writer. For example, maybe the writer then was seriously sick, so that time he may be written slowly. So because the writing is done slowly, you can see the sign of slow written there. Then another thing is when a writer is under a terrible condition, like writing under duress, yes, it may change his handwriting totally. The writing may change totally because it's not normal then. It's not written under normal condition. Another thing that can change the handwriting to look like as if it had been forged is when that person is under the influence of drug or alcohol. Let's move ahead. Another feature is baseline alignment. Baseline alignment is how the words or letters align to the baseline. The baseline may be at times may be real, like the one you see on the screen, or imaginary. When the paper is not lined, then the baseline is going to be imaginary. But always, every handwriting that when you have handwriting on the paper is standing, you have a baseline. The baseline is where you assume that all the letters will sit. Look at this one. The first, we have about 6 writers. The first writer, look at how she writes her own names. Look at this Okumba. The O started a bit above the line, above the baseline, then came down, then back up again. Look at this one too. Look at this one. Now look at the second writer. All the writings sat on the line, and the first of the word of this words here, the first word here, the initial letter I started a bit below, a bit below the line, while the other one, the last one, the initial of the last word also is below. But look at Kasim. So their baseline are not the same. Look at this number 5, Akinboro Oluwa Dabira. All the letters, none of them goes beyond the line, and none of them is above. All of them sat on each of them sat on the line. So the baseline alignment is unique to your individual. If you look at all other registered, all other places where they register their name, because they happen to be my students, where they write their name, all other, you can see that the way they write their names, they recorded their names, the baseline are the same. The baseline are the same. So yes, let's move ahead. There's another thing we call speed and rhythm. The speed and the rhythm is how fast the writer writes. What will help you to determine whether the writer writes slowly or speedily is there are two. One of them I mentioned the other time. The the pen pressure, when the pressure varies, when you see very pressure on writings, then on what has been written, pen pressure on the writing, then you can say that this the writer writes speedily. Then another thing that you can see is that when a writer writes very fast, the handwriting becomes less legible like others who write slowly, and the thickness will be lighter, will not be as thick. It will not be as thick. The size of the lines will not be as thick as that of the one that writes slowly. Look at these these 6 writers. Look at them. Look at number 5. Number 5, the lines are thicker. All the lines are thick compared to the following one. I mean the either the following one or the one before it. And you can see her handwriting. This one is more legible. Akinboro Oluwadabira, the handwriting is more legible than that of this one because she writes slowly. It's more legible than this one or the other one. Look at the A. This one writes fastly. That is why you see A of this nature. But look at A. And majority of people that write slowly, you see them at times. You see them have what they call flourishing. Look at A here. That look like can I call it cap or crown on the A is flourish. Look at this one also, the K. Look at it, but you won't see something of that nature in some other ones. You look at Okomba, look at this one and this one, because this one doesn't even have the time. It's fast to be having all this kind of. Look at our dot also. The dot is what she used as dot here. Look at what she used as dot. So this is slow. This is a slow writer, whereas somebody like this one is a fast writer, and this one also. So you can see the difference. This is thick and more legible than this one. Then reading is how soon the writings or the letters are moving away from the baseline and coming back to the baseline. Some will be on the line and stay like that, while some will come down and go up. So how they are coming down to the baseline and moving away from the baseline is what we call as known as a rhythm, and it's unique to an individual. So let's stop in that area first, but those are the key features. There are some other features, but those are the key features. Then let's go to some other things like the types of handwriting problems examined. We examine signature verification to verify whether a signature is genuine or forged. We use handwriting analysis to solve some kind of a problem. Forgery detection to detect forgery. So we use handwriting knowledge to do that. The same thing with anonymous letter. That letter that was written without a name, we can analyze the handwriting and the handwriting of that person and link it to what he has written before, or to use it to eliminate a suspect. Another is alterations in document. Where you have alteration, you can use this also to detect alteration. Then disguise writing, where the writer is trying to disguise his own or her own writing. Then we simulation, when somebody is copying another one. Now let's go to simu or to type of forgery. Sorry, type of forgery. We have different types of forgery. Type of forgeries. The first one is a hand forgery, freehand forgery. Freehand forgery. Freehand forgery is when the writer writes directly from his memory. In freehand forgery, the writer probably has never seen either the signature, or that is handwritten signature, or the writing of that person, or he has seen it but cannot remember again. But we just write something, write or whatever you want to write. Maybe you want to write a letter, write the letter, then write the name of the person that you want to maybe implicate, for example, or to want to make it look like as if the person is the one who wrote the letter. You will write the letter and put the name of that person there, and just give any signature. Just sign any signature that comes from his or her memory. So in that kind of forgery, we call it freehand forgery. No differences. It usually contains noticeable differences. That kind of forgery is very easy to detect. Another form of forgery in handwriting is simulated forgery. Simulated forgery is when a writing of somebody or somebody was copied by another person, a forger, by a forger. When a forger copies somebody's handwriting, that's a simulated. That is, he has or the original that is using to write his own. So he copied from a place. So, for example, when a genuine signature is being copied, that's a simulated forgery. Then it often shows sign of slow drawing. One of those things that you can see there is what I call tremor the other time. That is sign of slow drawing, because every copied letter will manifest that signs of slow drawing. And one of those signs of slow drawing is tremor. One of them is tremor. Another one is a blob. Blob. What I call blob is when a drop of ink drops in some places where they are not supposed to appear. For example, when you see blob, look at this signature, these two signature down here. I tag one genuine, the other one not genuine. Look at it. This signature, if you look at this side, if you look at this place, is very smooth. This cuff is smooth. This cuff also is smooth. This cuff also is smooth. Under ordinary condition, we are not expected to see any blob here. Then also, unless if the ink is malfunctioning. Even when it is malfunctioning, the ink that will be drawn there will spread. But look at it. Look at it. No sign, no blob of any sort there, because the cuff is supposed to be smooth with just only one stroke. Look at this, the one here. You can see blob here. This is a blob here, because after a cuff is sewn like this, he got to this place, he will have to look at where he was copying it. So before he look back to where he want to write, then he might have raised his pen, then putting the pen back to get the right place. He will have to slow down. So where he was slowing down, the ink will drop. That's why you see this blob. Then look at this line. There's no reason for any blob to be here because the person wrote it, it is not looking at anywhere. So look at two blob here. This is a blob, this is a blob. So those areas we are not expected to see blob there. We are just supposed to see just a single line. When you see blob on the line, then it's an indicator of forgery. It's an indicator of forgery. Another one is some angles where there's not supposed to be angle. Look at this one. This one smooth here. On getting here is curve also. But look at this. This is a line. This is an angle here. There's an angle here. There's another angle here. So, and you don't see such angle in the original one. Then there's something we call hesitation. This one here. This one is hesitation. Hesitation is when you have gap. You see gap here. If you let me increase this one, you see it. Look at a gap here. There's a gap here. This gap here shows that the person, after getting to this place, he hesitates. So he went to look at the original, to look as how the original look like. Then before he look, he has to raise up his pen. So raising up his pen, that time that he raise up his pen, that is time he's hesitating. So before now he put it back. It was when he put it back that you have the blob there. So we have hesitation here, we have blob here. Those signs are tools. They are signs of not genuineness or forgery. Now look at it. Look at here. This one, there's no gap here. But look at this gap. Look at where you have gap here. Where there's no supposed to be gap at all. Because this one joins this one and flow like that. So that is another sign. So now I've mentioned about three things that you can look at. So it's not tremor alone. You have blob, then you have hesitation. All those ones can be they are indicators of slow writing and indicators of forgery in any writing. So that is for simulated forgery. Then we have another one, trace forgery. In a trace forgery, the instrument they use for it, they will need, in a trace forgery, they will need original document. That is, you have a genuine writing that will be placed over a document where they want that forged one to appear, or it may be the other way around, where the document they want to transfer the forged document will be on top of the original writing. So at times they may place light, they may place the two paper against a light, then draw it. Trace forgery is created by tracing over a genuine writing, and it may show tremors, retouching, and lack of natural variation. Let me explain what I mean by that. Tremor, as I've told you the other time, is a shaky line, a line that looks as if the hand of the writer was shaking while writing it. So that is one of those things you can see in genuine writing. In a trace forgery. It may be signature or any writing, any handwriting. Now, just as I said, the original, that is genuine, the genuine may be placed over a document, or the document may be placed, and there are a lot of trace forgery. There are forgery that they use blunt, sharp object. They use sharp object or object that has no ink, pointed object that has no ink, to trace the image of the signature or the letters. They trace the letters or the signature. And now the purpose of this is to make sure that there's indentation. on the paper, the space where they want the forged signature, for example, to appear. So after they might have impressed the signature on it, then they will now use ink, pen with ink, to trace the indentation or the impression. They trace it, and that genuine writing or signature will be transferred to that new place. But if you look at it very well, because it's just like copying, you can see tremor there. It will also, tremor will also appear, because the person who is tracing that indentation or the impression, we have to be careful. We do it slowly so as to have perfect writing, and that one will make him to slow down. And because he slowed down while he was written, you are going to have tremor. Tremor will appear there. Then another thing that we normally see there is retouch. Retouch is when the writer is trying to make amendment where he thought the signature, for example, is not correct pictorially, that the picture is not okay enough, does not resemble enough. He's trying to make adjustment. So you have what you call retouch. So now he is going to retouch. So the retouching, look at an example of retouching here. Look at this. This one is the original document, as both of them are seen under the magnifying lens. This is original or the genuine, and this is the copy one, the trace one. So after tracing, the writer of this one saw that there's a gap while he was tracing. The first thing that you use a blunt object to cause or to impress the signature on this paper by your right. So after that one, after the impression, then you use a pen to trace the impression, to trace it. And because he was tracing it, that is why you see the thickness is the same all through. Unlike this one, look at this, where this one started is thin, very sharp, because normally when you want to write, when a genuine writer is writing, what they do is this: before the pen is touching the paper, it's already moving. That is why you see sharp beginning or pointed beginning, and you see varied pressure, varied thickness. Then on getting to the last one, you see what we call sharp ending also. But if you look at this one, all the thickness are always the same. The stroke are always the same. The thickness of the stroke always the same. And if you look at it very well, you can see that it is the tremor appears there. You have tremor. We have a thick. We have a blunt beginning and blunt ending. The blunt beginning and blunt ending shows that the person places his pen firstly on the paper, look at where he wanted to copy, then now he began to do that one slowly until the end. After the end, he will need to look at it before he remove his pen. So that is why you see thick beginning and thick ending, or blunt beginning, blunt ending. Whereas this one will be sharp or thin. So now, or tapered beginning and tapered ending. Now, another thing you see there, I was talking about retouching, because there's a gap. When he got to this place, after he traced it, he saw that there was a gap between here and here. So he has to go back and use pen to close up the gap. While closing up the gap, to show that the thing was not flowing. That is what we call retouching. So retouching will appear. Then lack of natural variation. If you look at this one now, if you look at this one, there's no variation between the two, apart from those things that we mentioned. The picture are just the same. If you look at it from this side, look at this one here, that you have on top here. It's just the copy of the two. So they look much alike. So at times you may not even see natural variation. When you don't see natural variation, when they are perfectly, when two signatures are 100% the same, is a pointer or an indication that something is wrong. So it's one of those things that we look out for. Probably it was a copy with computer and placed on it, or with other means. Examination process. The first thing to do, the first step is collection of samples. What do I mean by samples? There are two types of samples. The first sample is the question document. The question document, that is the disputed written. So this disputed written is collected, and before anything, you make sure that disputed written is the original. Then another thing is that if they cannot lay hand on the original, then if it is photocopy, that photocopy must be clear enough. Must have all the features that are supposed to be there. Then you collect about standards, about 10 of handwritings. About 10 handwritings is okay. Collect, and we have different type of standards. Okay, the standard is what we call known samples. Call it known samples, standard, or exemplars. These are verified written of a suspect. I say verified because it is possible at times to use, if you use unverified for the analysis, you may be using fake or not genuine to compare not genuine. If you use not genuine to compare not genuine, then what we are going to get will be wrong. So the standard must be a verified one, so that you will be using fake to compare fake, to avoid the mistake of Adolf Hitler's diary. Adolf Hitler's diary is a case of some question document examiner that during the time the Adolf Hitler died, and his matter became so popular and people wanted to hear one or two things about him. During the process, a forger approached a media house that has seen the diary of Adolf Hitler. They bought the diary from him and they published the content. And during the process, some were saying Adolf Hitler doesn't write things as all like that, and they were doubting it. They were doubting the content, and that's how some question document examiner went into it and work on the question, the handwritten and the sample, the one they use as sample. By the time they look for sample, but the sample was also given to them, was also created by the same forger. So the sample and the disputed, the no sample or the standards and the disputed were from the same sources. From the same source. Both of them were from the same source, and because they were from the same source, they were using fake or not genuine to compare not genuine. We must make sure we verify the standard that we want to use. So after that, you have to make sure that you collect enough standard, at least 10 for handwritten. Then Step 2, we go to comparative analysis. That is side-by-side comparison of features. Features that I've mentioned the other time, you compare them. You said each feature is unique to an individual writer. So if the feature of writer A or writing A is the same with that of writing B, we know that they are from the same source. But if there are differences, then we can know that they are not from the same source. So now after the comparison, we do the evaluation. That is, we try to assess the similarity and differences. Then before we write our conclusion. While we are doing that, let me just give an example of a simple example of a work. For example, this on your screen, you have two handwritten. This document, one is the one at the right hand is from the known, and the other one is from the is the disputed. The disputed by the right hand, and the known from your left hand, as you see it on the screen. Now we want to compare the two. The first is to make sure that we have enough of the standard. In this case, the one we call standard in this case is the known. I said the disputed one is the one at the right hand. So we have one of this that is clean, that is, all we can see what is written there clearly. Then the one at your left hand, this one is clean also, but we need enough of it. At least 10 of it must be collected from different time. But whatever we collect must be with the one within that time. If you are investigating a student, for example, the student maybe probably came in through 100 level into a school. He submitted some document into an office, and along the way, maybe year 2 or 3, he might have taken to drug that nobody even know. So that one might have changed his handwriting, might have changed the way he writes. And by the time the student get to like 400 level, if perhaps they want to investigate writings, they want to examine his handwritings, by that time it will be totally different. It may be totally different. So the best is to collect one samples that are compatible with the time frame, the one that is compatible with the time frame in question. Look at the one on my screen. On my screen, you have the at the right side, you have the no sample. The disputed sample. Then at the left hand side, we have the no sample, and the no sample we have about 10 of them. But because this is on the screen, let's just assume that we have 10 here. Then you have only one clean and clear sample of a disputed one. Now, the first thing is to look at all the 10 and try to study it and look at those features that you mark that are always constant. The mark, just pick them. Look at this feature, the space, the margin here. You can see the margin of this writer increases downward. The margin increases downward. Then look at the margin of this one. You might have noticed that all the margins in all the 10s are always constantly the same. They increase downward. This one also, the margin increase downward like that. Look at the T here. this letter T, at the initial letter T inside this D, the beginning of the letter. Look at its own here. Look at the crossbar of the T. Look at the crossbar of this one. Look at the H, letter H. Look at this letter H. Look at E here. Look at this E. Then go to another D inside. Look at this one, D here, and look at D here also. Look at this D inside, this one, this letter. Look at this TH here and this TH here. So and compare it with this one and maybe probably this and this one also. You can see this resemblance. Then look at letter B, or look at wherever you see B here. Look at B here. Then let's go and look for another, for its own B. The B, we are comparing B. It must be B inside. If it is B in front or at the initial of a word, you must go to this place and look for B at the initial of a word also. So let's look at this B and look at if you can see a B here that is at the initial of a word. If you cannot see there, let's go and pick another letter. Okay, let's go for another one, like okay, look at B here. This is B here. Look at this B, by, and this by. Can see the similarities, the striking similarities. Look at B. This is by and this is by. So you have a lot of things. If you are going like that, you see a lot of things that are the same. And if you measure the numbers of words that you have on these lines and look for the average of the line, that the numbers that you have, you can see that they are the same here. They are the same. So, and if you see some things like letter, like look at 31 here. Look at this 3. Look at this 3 here. We have 3 here. We have 3 here. Look at this 3. Then look at this 3. The 3 of this person also. Look at it. So you look at, if they are figures, you look at figures also. Then I was saying something. Maybe I remember I didn't say something the other time. When you are collecting standard, there are 2 types of standard. We have collected standard and requested standard. Requested standard is the standard that you collect, that you request from the suspect. You have a suspect and you are requesting, you ask him. There are 2 ways of getting requested standard from a suspect. One way is to dictate to him, dictate the content of a handwritten, or it may not be handwritten. You dictate a content. You dictate a content to him to use his hand to write. You dictate a content to him. He will write it. Then you collect the first one, collect the second one. You can make it like up to 10. Let him repeat the same thing like that. It may be different content, but you must make sure that they carry, all of the content you carry the same type of letter that you want to compare with the disputed. Then now, apart from that one, you may also tell him to copy from the one that has been typed. A typed content, let him copy it, but you make sure that those typed content must contain letters, maybe letters and figures or numbers that you have inside the disputed handwritten. So you have that. Those are the 2 ways of requesting from such kind of a suspect. Then another way of getting a standard is by going to the archive. That one is known as collected standard. Now, the collected standard, you go to the archive of the map. Probably in most cases, that is what you use for a no standard from a writer that is already deceased. If a deceased, for example, wrote a will during his lifetime, after his demise, you can't call him again to come and write anything down. All you need to do is go to his archive, his file. You get letters that he wrote to his bank, maybe during birthday, the application for one thing or the other. So those are the things that we use. That is collected standard. Or perhaps it's a religious person. You may go to his and if that person is still alive and you don't want to you want to use archive the collected method, what we need to do is go to his file in his office, go to his file, get some letter that he has filled or form that he has filled with his hand, letter that he has written with his hand, or perhaps if he is a religious person, where he has signed into religious home. No, there are some religious centers where you need to write your name and sign before you enter. So those are some of the ways you can collect standard from suspects. Now, let's move further. So I said after comparative analysis, you evaluate. After evaluation, then you assess similarities and differences before your conclusion. You may have three types of conclusion. You normally have three types of conclusion. The first conclusion is a identification. The third conclusion, the second conclusion is elimination, and the third conclusion is inconclusive. Identification, that is same writer. Elimination, different writers. Then inconclusive, that is what you have on ground, or what the work you have done is not good enough because of certain reasons for us to have a good conclusion of identification or elimination. For example, in inconclusive, it is possible that the standard, that the known sample is not good enough. Maybe or you don't have enough no standard, no sample. Maybe you supposed to use more than 9 up to 10 signature, 9 or 10 signature, but now you have only 2 signatures or 1 signature. That is not enough. That is insufficient. So that insufficient must be written there. You take note of that one. You cannot use that one, just only one, to do the comparative analysis. So then it is possible that it's not even clear enough. Maybe the one they give to you is called photocopy, that is not clean. Photocopy can introduce some things, especially the one that are not clean, can introduce some features or remove some feature from the handwritten. So that one may make your work to be inconclusive. So you may have identification, that is, you identify that these 2 writings were from the same source, or these documents were created by different writers, and therefore whosoever they have alleged wrote this disputed is not the writer. So, and the third one is inconclusive. Yes, what are those things that we use? On legal and evidential considerations, the handwriting examination is governed in Nigeria by the Evidence Act 2011, Section 68. and this allows expert opinion in handwritten identification. So it says that experts must be qualified, that is, the expert might have undergone education or training in handwritten or question document examination, a documented training. So you must be able to provide objective and unbiased opinion. The report must be clear, logical, and defensible in court. There are limitations of handwritten examination, and this limitation must be not just be noted by the examiner, but also must be inside the report. Let me mention some of them. One of them is poor or insufficient samples. If there are poor or insufficient samples, you must state it. Then another thing you must state it inside your report, because that one will affect the result. Now, if there's heavy disguise or distortion, for example, if you have distortion when, for example, if a signature has been tampered with, maybe because another forensic examiner that specializes in latent fingerprint work on it in order to bring out a latent fingerprint from that document. He might have used a chemical that might have distorted the image of either the signature or the letters, the handwritten. So it might have distorted the image. So this one will not allow your analysis to be okay. Is photocopies instead of originals. When you have photocopies instead of original, may be a limitation because photocopies at times may not show the true picture of what you have in the original. Then when you don't have contemporary standards. Contemporary standard is the standard that was created around that time that thing happened. So it may be a requested one that you collected from, or the collected one, but that collected one may be the one that you collected around that time. That was created around that time. So what are the practical tips for investigators? Number one, always collect adequate and comparable samples. Always collect adequate and comparable samples. Avoid contaminating documents. Make sure that any document that is contaminated is not used. What are those things that can contaminate a document? Chemical might have splashed on it. Water might have splashed on the ink, and the document might have been folded severally that may have affected the features there. So these are contamination that can affect the document. Then you must preserve original document. Do not fold, do not staple or mark, so that if anything happens later, you can see presented that this is the original that I work upon. And lastly, you must maintain document chain of custody. When they are sending to you, it must be sent to you through the right hand. And apart from that one, if it is a document that was sent to you through a staff, that it must be written there that staff collected it, and you too, when you are returning back, it must be through the same route. The chain of custody is the chronological ratings or recordings of who is with that document at a particular time. So that one must be written down, it must be documented. So you have to document chain of custody. Tools and techniques. We have some equipment that we use. So I'll be mentioning them one by one and what we use them to do. In handwriting, handwriting is a sub-field in question document examination. Most of the equipment that you'll be needing as a question document examiner, many of them will not be useful for handwriting, but there are some that you cannot do without, and I just mention this so that we can know what and how to use them. The first one I will mention is hand lens. This is hand lens. This is hand lens. Hand lens, and what you use hand lens to do is to magnify the writings, the letters, so you can see the features there. Some features are too small that you cannot see with your eyes. For example, tremor will not show when you look at it with ordinary eyes. It may not show at all. Something like hesitation will not show. Some embellishment on some letters will not show very well. You will not see them. And there are some things like a blob. You may not even see any blob at all on the forged document. So you think that the forged and the genuine are the same. So you need this equipment to magnify it so as for you to see what is actually happening. So that's the first thing, and is for magnification purposes. Then another thing that you may need as a question document examiner, but now handwriting examiner, is this. This is just binocular microscope. Binocular microscope. So it can enlarge the letters to a level that you can see all the details, but higher a microscope of higher power will not be useful for this work. It will not be useful at all, because what you're supposed to see, you won't see it by the time you use magnification power of more than 10 times times x. Another thing you see is measuring device of different measuring device, like your ruler to measure the distance between a letter and the other, or the size of the paper. Then you have caliper too. Caliper is to measure the size of the paper. Then you have this device. This device is ultraviolet ray. Okay, let me put its need. Okay, we have battery inside. So now this device is used to reveal some things. Let's if you have a document like this which you need to examine, at times you may need this light to reveal some details on the device. So you need a powerful printer too. A powerful printer and photocopier, a machine that can photocopy, that can capture everything, every detail, that will bring out original as original. So we capture everything on a document. You need that one too. Then at times you need a software. You need a software. We call it a handwritten software or digital imaging software. You need a digital imaging software that can help you to analyze the image. So in conclusion, handwritten examination is a scientific, experience-based discipline grounded in